The coaching process is very confidential. I only make notes because if I don't make notes, I can't remember what to feed back to you. But I've got a sheet here that you can have. If you want to write notes down, you can do that. If you don't want to, that's entirely up to you. We came in when the children were just there in the circle. It seemed to be a really good activity, well-managed activity with lots of learning going on. And I just wonder what you'd done prior to us being there that made that such a successful activity.
Well, every single term we have new children in the nursery, so you never fall out of the habit of continuing those routines and pre-learning and continuing to learn those routines. It's really quite difficult to actually let anything slip in the nursery because you get the new children in. So some of those children have taken about 5 terms to get to that point. Right. But on a daily basis we sit down and we have the tambourine and they know what to do and they know to tidy away at particular times. But if we didn't do that every day, I don't think they'd be quite as good as that. And it obviously depends on the rest of our team doing that as well. So Sue and Yvonne, who are both in there with me, they do expect the same from them.
So even though we were looking at a particular group of children, if we'd have been next door, a similar thing would have been happening with those children. Because as a team, how do you make sure that your team...
Well, we plan as a team weekly, and then we sit down at the end of the week once we've planned, talk about what went well, what went wrong.
Anything else that you purposely did or you tried to do to make that such a successful?
I had the 3 children that you mentioned that didn't actually join in at first. They're actually not part of my group, they're part of Sue's group because I had a lot of absences. So they're not used to being in with me anyway. So I just felt that I needed to make them feel a bit more relaxed, so skim over them. And as soon as I got something out, from my bag, they all changed and it went completely.
I thought that was a key thing, that mystery of your bag and the way you sneaked something out and tried to keep it really, really secret.
They do like the mystery, especially when it's something to do with myself or another teacher. They love it. They're all inspired.
Well, that's another thing. You've hit on another really good thing that you did, because you shared a very personal thing to you. Those wonderful. That big one, was it an advent calendar?
It was an advent calendar, yes.
You shared that with them, and again it's about developing the relationship with them and helping them fit. You are really interested in them and wanting to share that sort of thing.
They've got so much to give anyway that you have to be interested in them.
I just thought it was a really lovely activity.
Thank you.
And lots of fun, and they were all smiling, so
I always have fun with them.
Seemed as if you were. Just now moving on to the second part of the coaching session, really. I'm wondering, is there anything that you would like to change or to be different?
I don't know if you noticed the little girl who kept saying Miss Chance, Miss Chance, and tapping me. I do my best to humour her and be calm with her, but I'd really like to change her behaviour. She's probably one of the children who's finding it hardest to cope with carpet sessions and sitting. Everybody else seems to respond quite well, and it's just this particular girl. She will do it when I'm at an activity with anybody and come up and tap, 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 tap.
So it's the closeness and the
it's like she wants to be with me all the time, and I don't want to jeopardise my relationship with her. But she can't do it all the time, I'm afraid.
So let's think about, can you think of a time when this child has been better at leaving you, has been able to go off and be at an activity?
It's mainly when she has got what she wants, mostly. She does find it very difficult to share, and it is mainly when she has got access to the activity that she wants to do.
Right.
And she will leave me. And then when she hasn't got that access, she comes to me all the time, even if I'm in the middle of a carpet session or talking to adults or anything really.
So let's go to the times when she will share.
Okay.
What makes that work so well?
It's generally a very social activity, like the water or the sand.
Right.
where she is talking only to that one particular child. And when she shares best, she actually comes and says to me, I'm going to share because that's getting along. so she knows.
So she knows about getting along. Okay. How does she know about getting along?
Well, when she first started, we used to have tantrums over everything, so she has come a huge way. But I just want her to sort of detach from me now and sort of do it a bit more independently.
So I'm getting a picture now of a little girl who's sometimes quite clingy, but there are times in the day when she's apart from you.
Yeah.
And when she's apart from you, she's doing quite sociable type activities, but she's got you in her line of vision.
Yes.
Right, okay. So
I always have to be there on the periphery.
So do you feel okay with that? I mean, when you're saying that you don't want her to be near you, when she's away from you a bit, are you?
I'm fine with that. I just worry for her that she's going to get too over attached, and the fact that she constantly interrupts is the thing that
Really gets you.
Really gets.
Okay. My next question to you is, how have you managed then to get her from being quite clingy to be able to be in a social activity with another child? You being there, but she doesn't need to have you. What have you done? Have you said anything?
I've had lots of talks with her. She did end up having lots of tantrums at first.
I think the qualities that a coach need are in no way to intervene and say, I think you could do such and such and such and such. To be able to identify very clearly the good practice and get people to think about where that good practice happens, what are the results of the good practice, and how they could take that on further. And I think that is one thing that Bev is very good at.
And I don't know if you've heard of the rescuer, persecutor, victim triangle. So if I perhaps as the coach were trying to rescue you, Helen, I might say something like, well, I could see you had a few problems there. Don't worry, I'll come in and I'll do your planning for you next week. So I'm trying to rescue you. Would that be particularly helpful?
No, not really, because I might have had a whole session planned to follow on from that.
And also it doesn't skill you at all.
No, and I think it might make me feel quite defensive actually that you wanted to take over my planning. Yeah.
So that's a sort of a rescuer role really. Right. I could be quite persecutory. I could be a persecutor, and I could say something about those advent calendars you brought in that were your own. I might say something like, I think that's entirely inappropriate to do that. And how would that make you feel if I?
It made me feel the same as before, a bit like you're treading on my toes and feel a bit helpless. And how's that going to help me?
And that would pick up in this drama triangle. That might put you in the position of a victim then. But I also could be a victim because I could, easily come into your classroom and see all the good practice that you have. And I might say, well, actually, I can't offer you anything, Helen, at all, because it's all fantastic. And what do I know? So I'm putting myself in the victim role. So we're trying not to fall into those traps, Lucy, weren't we? That's what we were trying to do.